Okay, everybody, we are on day 2 of International Charity Fraud Awareness Week. It's an important week. I'm an accountant. I calculated it. 1 divided by 52 is about 1.9%. So the world spends about 1.9% of the time trying to bring awareness to charity fraud. Here at Charity Watch, we spend 100% of every day doing that very thing. So I'm glad that you are joining me. We have a lot of expertise to share. And if you haven't checked out our video from yesterday what I talked about is understanding that the difference between a charity scam and a completely legitimate, properly registered with the IRS organization that is legitimate charity but is highly inefficient. Sometimes the difference between those two things is only a difference of none of your donation going to a charitable purpose and 1% going to a charitable purpose. So the first step is, yes, make sure the charity is legitimate, but you have to do step 2, which is making sure that it's efficient. If you haven't checked out that video, please go back to October 18th and check it out. So I want to talk to you about something that is a logical fallacy that kind of gets people when they're considering which charities to donate to. Extrapolation error, also known as faulty generalization. So what I mean by this is that sometimes donors, they will see a few anecdotes. A charity will present a few things that it has accomplished, or a scammer might present you a few things that they claim they have done or want to do with any kind of donation that you would give. And they offer some kind of evidence, right? They say, hey, look, I'm asking you for money, right? A charity or a scammer, right? I'm asking you for money. Here is what I've accomplished before, or here is evidence of my circumstances. And they will give you some anecdotal information, anecdotal accounts. So one example is you might go onto a crowdsourcing website and see that people have left positive reviews about a charity, right? And maybe those individual reviews are completely honest and legitimate, right? So say you have a charity that helps veterans, injured veterans. So you go online and you might see 5 or 10 accounts, glowing reviews of veterans that this particular charity has helped, and say they've given $5,000 grants to each person. Hey, that's a lot of money to me, right? And so for somebody who really needs a leg up, somebody who needs help, that's a lot of money. And of course, that can go a long way for certain people if they're behind on their rent, if they need help with utilities, if they need some help with medical bills, that kind of thing. That can amount to a lot. It can be a really impactful amount. So of course, someone who receives that kind of assistance is going to have nothing but great things to say, right? But say that the charity only gave out a handful of those $5,000 grants, say to 10 people. But say, then someone like me looks at their financial reporting, looks at their audited financial statements and compares those to the tax filings. Sometimes there's more than one legal entity included in an audit. Say someone like me looks at the audits and the tax filings of this charity and say that I determined that this charity spends about, let's say $8 million a year total expenses. So think about it, right? You as a donor may have extrapolated, come to a faulty generalization that based on these 5 or 10 people who were helped and got $5,000 grants, you might come to this conclusion that, okay, this means that this is a great charity that's doing great work and helping a lot of people. And of course, those 10 people it did help, but how much should the charity have accomplished with an $8 million annual budget? They should have accomplished way more than what you're seeing in those online reviews. So this is my important tip of the day for this second day of International Charity Fraud Awareness Week, is don't be overly impressed by a few anecdotal accounts of good deeds that a charity has accomplished. You really need to view a charity, its financial efficiency, in the context of how much has this charity accomplished, right, relative to the resources that it has. So if a charity brings in $2 million a year and it spends, excuse me, $1.8 million of that total amount on its programs, that's pretty good, right? But if it brings in $2 million a year and it only spends $1 million on programs and everything else goes to fundraising expenses and overhead, then that's not so impressive, right? So $1 million in absolute terms is really impressive. $1 million out of, say, $10 million is not impressive. So just try to remember to think of it in the appropriate context. If someone shows you some evidence, right, that they have done some good in the world, make sure that that you don't sort of extrapolate from that it's actually accomplishing what it should be relative to the resources that it has. In order to find a top-rated charity working in a particular cause, you can come visit us at charitywatch.org. We have all of our top-rated charities posted on our website at charitywatch.org. They're organized by cause, so if you are interested in helping veterans, helping animals, donating to the environment, and a number of other causes, you can come to our site and find a top-rated, highly efficient charity working in that cause that will use the majority of your donation on the programs that you're intending to support. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to get some sleep and then come back to you tomorrow with some more tips for this Charity Fraud Awareness Week. Thanks, everybody.